I want to talk about two lucid dreams that I had this week. The one last night was pretty interesting. I was a teacher at my old high school, but it's funny because the high school, now that I think about it, looks nothing at all like my old high school, but the feeling of it being my old high school made it to where I acknowledged it as my old high school. And I think that this is funny, like if you think about your dreams where you're at your old house or your old school or an old, gym or place, and if you think about it, it's not exactly the exact same way as it was in real life, but you just went along with it and you felt like it was this particular place and it seemed like the right types of people were there, so you just went along with it. So that's my sidebar for this, but I'm at my old high school supposedly, and I am a teacher there now. Well, I wanted this particular other teacher that I know teaches there to show up. And so I said, I want teacher C to show up. And she didn't. And so this gets very frustrating when I ask for things to happen in my lucid dreams and they don't. So I have a couple of techniques to try to further along my process. So I say, okay, well, I'm going to walk into this next room, and when I walk in there, teacher C is going to be there. I walked into that room, teacher C was not there. So my last two tactics were, okay, I'm going to stare at the door, and then all of a sudden teacher C is going to walk in here. Still didn't work. And so my very last tactic was to stare at a current lucid dream character that was in the room and force them, like will them to change into teacher C. Because I just wanted to have her there, because I just wanted her there, because I was already at the school. I knew this teacher was supposed to be a part of the script anyway. Just wanted her there. And it was a male. He refused to change, and I became very frustrated. I said, why can't you just change? I mean, you're not even real anyway. This is a dream. Just change into teacher C. It's not like you're even real anyway. And what he said back was, well, you're not real either, so there. And I started laughing, and I looked down at the ground. And that's when I looked back up, the dream character brought out this food, like a tray of food. And he said, here, try some different types of food. And I could taste the food. It was funny because I was acknowledging that I was lucid, and I was wondering what food tastes like really studying how it tastes since I was lucid. And there was noodles and this liquid and then also this liquid had like this seaweed looking stuff in it, and I tasted it. It was very like bland, but it had a slight taste to it. And then there was like this red chicken squares or something on the side, and I tasted that. It was still bland, had a very faint taste to it, but it still was a different texture than what the noodles were. And I just remember just studying it and trying to memorize what it was tasting like in my experience so that I could remember it whenever I woke up. So I guess the interesting part of that dream was me saying, well, you're not even real anyway. Why can't you just change into the person that I want you to change into to make me happy? And him saying back, well, you're not even real either. And me just kind of looking down like, well, maybe I'm not even real. I don't even know what any of this stuff is anyway. So then I want to talk about a dream that I had either Monday or Tuesday, where it was my grandpa, my grandma, and a couple of other distant relatives were in this room, in this house that I've never been in before, but just took it as just we're somewhere in particular. And I remember thinking, don't go ballistic, don't ask too many questions, just be really calm, because this is my new thing, is to be calm and be nice to the dream characters. I walked up to my grandpa and I just wanted to listen to what he was saying to see if it made any sense, because sometimes the dream characters, like the extras, when you walk up to them, they're speaking English, but they're just a bunch of random English words stuck together that don't make any sense. I don't remember what my grandpa said, but it did make sense And I did give him a look like, huh, you're actually making sense. This is interesting. And so I, looked around and I told them, I said, okay, I know that this is a dream. And I complimented them on what a good job they were doing. They were saying things that were making sense, which I imagine is hard because they don't always do that. So I complimented them. And then I complimented how they were portraying people that I knew in real life. They were portraying them in a nice way, such as portraying my grandpa in a nice way. And they don't always have to do that. But then again, if you watch my other videos, they portray people that you know in particular ways to make you have a certain reaction, which future prepares you for something that's going to happen in real life. So they have to be mean to you. They have to do certain things that cause you mental harm to train you to be prepared for this upcoming event that's probably going to happen. But I looked at my grandpa in the dream, and even though I knew that he wasn't real, I just love him. I just looked at him and I just said, I love you, I love you. And he just looked back at me. We just had like this certain look where he said he loved me too. And it made me wonder, is this really him? Because I know it's not him. Or can you be alive and in this waking reality and also in the dream realm and dead at the exact same time? Could this possibly somehow still be him? I guess if we're not real, because the other dream character from last night just says, we're not even real. I get so caught up in, well, the dream character version of my grandpa, he's not really him because he's not real. But then again, if we're not even real here, does it really matter what's real or not? Because if we're not even real here where you're listening to this, does it really matter if you're real while you're asleep? I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying. I'm not wording it in a very good way. I just know that I need to make a video before I forget this week's dreams. My last one is from last week. I remember confronting the dream orchestrator. He was a male. I forgot how I confronted him. The only part of the dream that I remember is he came in, he sat on my lap. It was a very large entity sitting on my lap. And, I was joking around with him. I said, change into something that I don't like change into Red 2. And Red 2 is supposedly a character that scares me a lot. And he changed into Red 2 and it did scare me. And I tried to laugh it off because he looked really scary. He had a red face. He just looked kind of like the devil. And I was like, okay, change into something else. And he changed into a couple of other different things. And I just remember having a moment where I was joking around with the dream orchestrator instead of him beating me up. And instead of me trying to interrogate and antagonize him. But he still scared the shit out of me, though. Even though we were joking around, I was still very scared of him. And he was just so close to me. He was in my lap. It's just a funny place to be.